Okay, let's get started.
Right, okay.
Right. Hello, everyone. We are here today. We are Real Life Photo Academy. I'm Antonina Mamzenko. This is Emma Collins. And we are not live here, but today with, I can't say your name, Elise. I'm sorry, your surname.
Elisse Weinert.
Elisse Weinert.
Yeah.
Is Carma your
My middle
name? What's your middle name?
My middle name. It was my grandmother's name.
Oh, beautiful.
My maiden name was Jackson, so it's a little too generic.
Yeah. That's like, I wish I had my maiden name. It's far more interesting than my married name. Everyone's called. I mean, there's like a photographer who lives down the road called Emma Collins. Seriously.
What's your maiden name?
Fatherly.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, it's really unusual. There's not many people called it, but I don't see my dad ever, so I don't think I should use his name. So anyway, we can't cut this out of everyone. There you go. That's my family history. It's part of the video now.
Okay, so Emma, do you want to introduce Elise?
Yeah, sorry. Elise is my lovely friend. Interestingly, we know each other from our mentor. So yeah, which is just also one of the many benefits of doing mentorship is that you meet other lovely people. Like Elise, hopefully she thinks I'm lovely as well. And you know, you get to meet all these people, make a lovely little community and network and bounce things off each other. And anyway, Elise is an American. We set this up to promote and highlight documentary photography. I mean, we said like British and European photographers, but really it's documentary photography in Europe and the UK. And the lovely Elise happens to be an expat in Italy at the moment after a stint in Japan as well.
Yeah, 2 years in Japan.
And then you've been in Italy for how long now?
For 2 years. Yeah, we're just over 2 years now.
And how long are you going to be there for?
We don't know. At least another year, hopefully another couple of years.
And then will you go back to the States then, or go somewhere else and adventure somewhere else?
We don't know. And what jobs are open and how we feel at the time.
Oh, so lucky. It sounds so glamorous. I've been stuck in bloody St Albans for 17 years now. Like, I can't move because my kids would kill me.
We like the moving around. We like the travel.
Yeah.
At the moment, you know, and for the past several months, kind of some of the joy of living abroad has been taken away, obviously, not being able to travel as much, but
yeah,
hopefully that will change.
So Elise is a super duper amazing, lovely person, but also an amazing photographer. She did interesting. I think you're the first person that we've interviewed that does birth photography and day in the life photography. She's won several awards with the DFA because she's super talented. But one of the things that I'm really excited about interviewing about is the personal work that you've done that I know, obviously, because we share a mentor. Elise was born and raised a Mormon, but 4 years ago started transitioning away from her faith and has, through photography and art, has helped to work your way through your feelings and processing what you've gone through. So we'll get to that a bit later. You'll be blown away by the images that she's created. That's amazing. I'm really jealous that I haven't done it.
You know, I'm jealous of the work you do, Emma. You know, I'm jealous of your portraiture. Oh my.
Just jealous. It's good to be honest.
Yeah.
So first of all, I mean, obvious sort of question everyone always wants to know, how you started out as a photographer, you know, a little bit about your journey, how you ended up falling into the family documentary genre and birth photography. So if you can, you know, where you lived when you started as well.
We were living in Texas when I got my first DSLR and started kind of diving into photography. And
were all your kids born in America?
Utah and Texas.
Okay, so all three of them were born before you left to go to Japan.
Yes. Yeah. Sky was 6 months old.
I was going to say she must have been really little. Yeah.
When we moved to Japan, yeah, because she's almost 5 now.
Okay, sorry. So back to photography.
Yeah, so I got into it when, you know, my babies were little. Right from the start, I knew I loved taking pictures of real moments. I never really had any desire to do any sort of stylized photography, set anything up. I never even wanted to ask the kids to do a thing. It just didn't come to me to do that, to ask that, or to, you know, position people. And when I started posting some of the pictures I was taking of my kids, I had people ask me to take their family pictures, and that was a disaster every time for like the first couple of years. Yes, honey? Yeah, you pick whatever you want to watch.
Elise's daughter's sick today, so we've had technical issues. Computer's not turning on. We can't go live, and Elise has got a poorly child, so it's
vomiting child. And I've lost my train of thought. So, so I just noticed anytime I try to do a portrait session, I felt flustered and lost, and I didn't like the posing. I didn't like it at all. And I found that when I would just let the kids do their thing in these sessions, that I kind of came alive, and my artistic side came out, and I was making the pictures that I wanted, to. So I would watch Creative Live a lot back then while I was editing, not really editing at that point, but a beginning version of it. And I came across Kirsten's class, her first Creative Live class. And so that's sort of what showed me there is a genre. It was the beginning of it, it's kind of when I was starting out, but that there's a genre for this, there's a mentor for this, there's some help for me to find sort of a path. So I just dove into her education, and I did all her Creative Live classes, and I subscribed 100% to everything she taught. And it was maybe a couple years after that I started to sort of find my own way of shooting, and realize I didn't have to shoot 100% the way that Kirsten Lewis shoots all the time. But I've still kept her as a mentor, and I've done, a full day one-on-one mentorship with her in London a couple years ago. And then of course, Emma, you and I are doing her advanced year-long mentorship this year, which is amazing. And she's an incredible mentor. But anyway, she sort of showed me sort of that it's a genre, and there's a community, and but yeah, I mostly photographed my kids for a long time, and then
share screen, sorry.
It's over.
Oh my god, it's breaking down again.
Yeah, and then I started to shoot some births, and yeah.
Well, so did you just accidentally start shooting births then?
I'm trying to remember what got me. I think I must have seen someone asked me to shoot their birth when I was pregnant.
Was that in America?
Yeah, in Texas.
Yeah,
so
in there, I think, isn't it, to shoot births than over
more
here?
Common, yeah, for sure. It's more common, but was still, I guess I was like 5-6 years ago. It was still not super well known, but
yeah.
There was a community starting there of birth photographers, and had we stayed there, I would have 100% dove in, and that would have been my niche. And I fell in love with it immediately. And I had several friends ask me to shoot their births. I had a lot of friends having babies at the time, and I just loved it. So that for sure became kind of my thing. And I shot 5 or 6 births before we moved to Japan. And there I only had the opportunity to shoot one, because it's just a different thing there.
Yeah. And have you done any since you've been in Italy?
So I've shot one birth in Italy for an American mom that gave birth at a birthing center in Milan. So the hospital is here. I tried to shoot a birth for an American woman that gave birth in a hospital here, and her doctor said, no, absolutely not. We don't allow that. So I think you can maybe get into some hospitals with some doctors, but not often. But the birthing center is more open to it, of course, is midwife, more natural birth. And so I was able to shoot that birth there. But they were still like, I could tell it was kind of a little bit of a weird thing. And a couple times the midwife said, "Can you step out for a little bit?" And the mom said, no, I want her here.
Yeah, but that's where cultural differences come in, isn't it? Where obviously in Italy it's still thought of as more of a private,
Yeah.
and it's weird that a photographer would be in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas,
And anytime I tell people that I shoot births here, Italians, it's like, what?
yeah.
Very strange concept.
I can imagine.
Yeah, and then I've shot a birth in Utah last summer. So since we moved abroad, I've only shot 3 births now.
Wow.
But yeah, I hope someday when we go back to the States, it'll be doable. And I was thinking about sort of my plan here to make it more, to sort of help spread the word about the birth photography genre. I wanted to go to that back to that birthing center and ask if I could just shoot a couple births for free and put up my work on the walls for them, so that people would get more familiar with it. Lockdown hit right when right after I shot that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think in the UK it must be really hard it's not a big genre here, it's still early days, but I can't imagine they've been able to do it at all, because even the fathers weren't allowed in until about 3 weeks ago. They weren't even allowed birthing partners in the room with the mother.
Oh, yeah.
So a photographer, I can't imagine they've been allowed in at all.
Right.
No,
yeah, I think the spouses aren't allowed in right now.
Yeah, it's literally just changed. I've been walking through lockdown. Everyone have these routines in lockdown, and I had my routine ended up that I always saw this girl, also called Emma, with a dog just like mine, and we used to walk every morning. And she was pregnant. It was really sweet actually, because obviously she'd left work and no one knew she was pregnant. And through lockdown, she was just kind of like blossoming. And I saw her again. It's slightly different now because obviously it's not lockdown, so I haven't seen her so much. But I saw her 2 weeks ago, and she was due like 3 days later. And she was saying she was so happy because they just removed the restrictions of dad being allowed in. So
I hadn't even thought. I knew wedding photographers, obviously, there's a whole big struggle there, but I didn't even think about birth.
It's such a small industry here, isn't it, that I don't think wedding photographers or the wedding industry as a whole can make a noise. Whereas it's not a birth industry, is it? It's all a hospital and midwives. The only industry bit is that there's a handful of photographers who are doing it. So I don't think they'll have managed to make much noise.
No.
Yeah.
But we're curious, Elisse. So when you moved around, obviously you've done a bit of shooting in the States, then you were in Japan and in Italy now. Did you notice any differences in the way people hire photographers or view family photography or birth photography? Well, you talked about birth photography a little bit and how it's different, but are your clients, do you find more other expats or other locals, or how do people just approach that?
Yeah, people are definitely more, people hire more family photographers in general, I think, in America than in Japan. It was not a thing. Not a single Japanese person hired me. There was one that I knew through the international school that hired me for a shoot. She's not your typical Japanese person anyway. It was just not a thing there. They don't really do family photography or photography.
Were your clients all expats that you knew?
So in Japan, it was all expats, and there was a very big expat community there in Nagoya.
Yeah.
So it wasn't hard. I was busier than I wanted to be. I still had Sky at home 2 or 3 days a week, and so it was a lot for me to take on. But I was doing a lot of shoots for expats because there weren't really there was one other really great photographer called Anime, who does beautiful portraiture, but a totally different style than mine, not documentary. And so we sort of. What's that?
Was she also an expat, or was she actually a local?
She is, but she's from the Philippines. She's married to a Japanese man, so she's there forever. And so she's got like, she's got the whole expat group right now. I think she's like the only family photographer now. But at the time we sort of split. People who wanted documentary came to me, and people who wanted portraiture went
you call it the market.
Went to her. So it was easy to spread my work there, because there were the Facebook groups set up for the international school community and the expat community in general, and this and that play group community for expats and stuff. And I could share my work there and then get hired easily and through word of mouth, because it was a big community but also very small in a way. So in that sense, in Japan, pretty unique. Here, I have definitely had Italians ask me about shoots, but their idea cost-wise is much different. Like everything is pretty cheap in Italy, especially compared to all the countries surrounding us. But in general, it's a cheap place to live, and it's kind of unheard of, the prices that I ask. So I don't tend to get a lot of Italian clients, because I will either do it for free for somebody because I want to do it for a personal project, or they don't generally accept my prices. Yeah. And I'm not really willing to come down, because it's taken me long enough to get up to where I am, and I only want to keep going up. So and by now, as I'm sure you guys know, it takes a lot of time away from your family, and you've put all this education and time into it, and so it doesn't feel worth it, to start offering really cheap sessions. But yeah, I've done some sort of personal project work with Italians, and that has gone really well. They seem to like the genre, the style, but it's also very sort of new to them.
I forgot to say at the beginning, you actually had, during lockdown, you had an article published in the Italian press, didn't you, in one of the main newspapers, yeah?
Yeah, La Stampa, which is the biggest, or one of the biggest newspapers here, which wouldn't have happened without the mentor program that we're doing with Kirsten. As you know, it was an assignment that we did for her class. I did pictures at I spent 2 days taking pictures at a restaurant that employs individuals with Down syndrome. And so that was kind of my first time stepping out of sort of normal family work and birth and into something that wasn't at all about family per se. And
about people, but not family. It did, like, a different group.
Yeah, not about family connections, but definitely about connections, between them and about people. Yeah, but that was really cool, because it opened up my mind, sort of made me realize there's bigger things I can do with my photography, and there's more that I can offer even. And I loved it just as much as I loved shooting a family. So that was really cool. After we submitted the assignments, as you know, Kirsten said, you need to submit this to a newspaper, and I did. And so that was first time I'd been published in the newspaper. That was really exciting. So
pretty big article, and it was about you as well, wasn't it? Almost more so.
It was kind of strange. I wasn't expecting that. The journalist that I had contacted about the article, I just sent it to La Stampa, the general submission email, and I got a call from a journalist who asked me a bunch of questions about me, and I thought, I don't know why she cares. It's about the restaurant, right? But then when the article came out, it was a big picture of me, and then a couple of my pictures, and it was, this is Elisse Carma Weinert. She's been here for almost 2 years. She speaks enough Italian to have a conversation. Like, it was very strange, because I guess it was more about about how interesting it is to them to see sort of the perspective of a straniero,
outsider, kind of
a foreigner. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it sort of, asked me how I'm experiencing it, why I chose this town to live in, and what I think and of living here and stuff. And that combined with my experience going to the restaurant and the pictures that I took there. So So yeah, that was a little bit strange. I had written an article to submit with the pictures, and they took sort of pieces from it, but they didn't,
Okay. But isn't it often the case that it's our personal work that kind of pushes us forward and kind of gets us seen and gets featured and whatever, because that's what we're passionate about, and that's what maybe we put more energy even than any client work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's been my experience. Sort of
when you can feel the heart of something as well, like, and it's something like that. It's such a lovely place, the people running the restaurant and the young Downs people. That's just really adorable pictures when you see the relationships between them, and see it's really hard not to feel something in that sort of situation. So it does, it definitely comes across, doesn't it, when you're doing that type of
and
work.
I think we're definitely learning right now through our class that the things that you feel, if you're feeling it when you're making pictures, then your client, or not your client, your viewer, the people, when they look at your photos, they're going to see what you felt, so it's important to pick a project that's something that makes you feel something that's important to you, something that you're passionate about, and through that you'll be able to make these types of images that make other people feel what you felt. And not just to pick something because it's what other people are interested in, or it might go somewhere, but to pick something that really sort of
resonates with you. If it resonates with you, you're more likely to be able to bring that through the photos than if you're not bothered about something.
Along those lines. That same month I had picked also an animal sanctuary, and I don't know if you remember these.
That was so cute. There's a little goat without its back legs, and they put wheels on it so you could get around. It was really
Go with the wheelchair, and because it was something that moved me, because I love animals so much, then I sort of was able to get into the animal perspective and shoot it from my unique point of view that I was able to dial into, only because it was something that moved me, that I loved so much. Those were really.
See those images. I haven't seen those.
You can post them in the group later, or send them to us and we can post them in the group.
That would be really lovely.
Yeah.
We did want to talk a little bit more about birth photography, because I know a lot of people are interested in that, and like how the gear that you use and that sort of thing. Like, how do you manage? Because obviously a lot of birth happens in small dark rooms. How do you navigate that? And I'm going to share some of your birth work.
Although there was the pictures that I think you took them in Italy at presumably at the birthing centre. It's a really lovely room. One of them, that one with the crisscross windows behind it. It's really beautiful.
Okay, so this one here is the only one I pulled from old births. Everything else is from the past couple years.
Okay.
But here, this one's in Japan. So I think I just pulled 3 pictures from there. But it's got the traditional Japanese doors and windows, and so that's really fun to work with.
That's what's really beautiful. Now you've said it, I can see it really looks Japanese.
Yeah, it does.
Japanese feel. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how many to send to you, but I just pulled a couple of those. And then this one was in Utah with my my childhood best friend that I've known forever, and I just happened to be there at just the right time. I was only in Utah for about a week, but it happened to be the time of her birth.
Oh, so you saw your childhood best friend give birth.
Yeah.
That must have been really emotional, yeah?
It was really emotional. And there was a moment, that last picture, she was getting really anxious and crying. And I made this picture, and then I sort of set the camera down for a minute, and I just hugged her and I said, I'm here for you. And it was a moment that I think was hard for her mother to know how to process. And she said later, I couldn't have done it without you. I'm so glad you were there. And it just felt like it was a really sweet experience to be there for her in that way, and also to be able to capture it for her, which, that doesn't always happen. But
Yeah, that's lovely. That where is it her mum who's holding her hand in that other picture?
Yeah.
And then because she's really emotional, and her partner, her husband's really, yeah, the interaction is beautiful.
Yeah.
I like this with all the hands. That's her mum, yeah.
That's another birth.
Yeah. So this is the birth I shot here in Italy, at the birthing center. With a really
so she's an American, yeah.
She is. She just moved home a couple days ago, back to Texas.
Oh no!
But
that's lovely. The joy on both of their faces is amazing.
Yeah, beautiful. So, what do you, when you shoot births? What's your gear? How do you shoot with? What do you shoot with?
So, I just got my Sony A7 III about a year ago. So I shot this birth with that camera. I guess that means I would have shot that birth previous with my Nikon D750, and the one before that as well. Yeah, I don't know
that the difference, because we had quite a few people interested in switching between mirrorless and like how the experience was.
I really love. I think the biggest advantage for me is the size and the weight of it. That it's just so easy to move around. It's more inconspicuous, and it just feels. But I have less of a backache at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely
feels better.
Does the ISO help as well? Because I always feel like births are going to be dark, but they aren't necessarily. Sometimes they've got loads of artificial light as well. It depends.
Yeah, it does have has better low light capabilities, and the ISO goes up, I think, quite a bit higher than the Nikon D750. My Nikon, I felt like there was still quite a bit of grain. There's still grain for sure with my Sony, but it's better. Although that may be partly because I'm better at exposing it now. I don't know. But no, I think it performs better. The one thing I find that I'm not loving is the colors at low light. Sometimes I feel like this isn't quite right. It may be something that's manageable editing afterwards, but I'm such a lazy editor. It's like a 5-second edit and then I move on, and so I just don't want to spend that time in Lightroom. So that's the one downside.
I just
and then the other advantage, I think, is having the screen on the back. I never used live screen with my D750. Maybe that would have changed things, but it changes it a lot for me to be able to flip that screen around and watch, shoot like this, watch the screen like this. I noticed, a couple years ago that I sometimes take better pictures with my cell phone than I do with my camera, because my camera's up here, and it's harder for me to separate myself and see sort of the thumbnail of it, you know? And with the Sony, I'm more seeing the whole picture rather than getting lost in the detail of this and this and this.
So it changes your perspective, doesn't it? It definitely. Yeah. So there's sometimes there's some things that looking through the viewfinder helps with, and sometimes it depends what I'm looking at. But it definitely helps you compose, I think, seeing, or it's more I don't know, it's that seeing it as a whole frame. I think it's like being able to pay attention to things like the edges and stuff.
Right.
Looking at it from the back.
Yeah, I find it easier to have a strong overall framing when I'm using that. And then I don't think I said, but I use a 35 almost exclusively. I used to bring along a long lens with me, like a 70 to 200, I think, but I just don't bother with it anymore. I just tend to shoot better with my 35. I have been wanting to go a little wider because I often find myself wishing that I had something wider. So I may.
Yeah, that's what I did as well. I've been just partly because I found myself often in small spaces in the UK, and I felt like I needed something wider to be able to incorporate.
Yeah, and I love Zalmi Berkowitz's really wide shots. I
Yeah,
really love what he
really
does
wide.
with his,
He goes
events
back down to like
especially.
18 or 14 or something, I think, on some of his shots. Yeah. So what I really want to talk to you about is have you got the Faith Project images, Antonina? I've had to switch computers, and so the pictures aren't on my computer. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your journey? So where this started from?
Sure. So 4 years ago, almost exactly, it was a little more than 4 years ago, we moved to Japan, and I had started. So I've separated this project into black and white and color, just so you know. It's a bit mixed up here, but there's sort of two different projects going on. So when we moved away from the States, I started sort of before, but mostly after, doing some research on my religion, and had a couple friends that were transitioning away from the church, and it created a lot of cognitive dissonance for me, feeling like, well, this is like the whole truth. So how can my friends still be happy and good people while walking away from that? That and sort of a couple of other things I was going through, talking with my therapist about, sort of opened the door a little bit. And then when I started searching some church history, that really sent me down a rabbit hole of all the stuff that is sort of hidden from you as an active Mormon, as someone who was raised in the church. You kind of get, I'm sure in any church, but you get a whitewashed version of your church history, and that just completely came unraveled for me. And the first moment, so I trying to speak in
Is your husband, was he raised Mormon as well, or not? It's just
yeah. We both have ancestry in the church that goes back like just decades.
And so has he followed this journey with you? Are you both going through this transition?
A bit, but I'll get there. But so, and he's a bit more private about it, so I don't want to speak too much to his journey, but I get lost so easily. Oh, I was almost 30. And so for that long, I had always been fully in. I had never had a single doubt. I was completely and fully devoted to the church, to the Mormon church. To me, it was absolute truth. It was everything. It was the only way I was going to be with my family forever in heaven and with God forever. And there was no other option. And the Mormon church, it's like a very cultural, like everything I did was through the church. All my friends were through the church, and you sort of go through the program. I went to BYU and did school there, and I really was just sort of in the bubble. I had a few non-Mormon friends throughout my life for sure, but I was always sort of in this frame of mind and never had any doubt. So the moment that I experienced my first doubt was totally earth-shattering to me and really, really frightening.
Yeah.
And just
like your whole world is built on that foundation, and then it's like an earthquake happening under your foundations.
It definitely felt like an earthquake. I just felt like everything was unraveling, and I didn't know, what was right, what was true, what was up, what was down. And for a solid couple of months, it was like that. Just a lot of darkness, a lot of sadness, a lot of sort of some exciting things that were pushing me forward to keep reading more and learning more. And there was a lot of sadness and fear about losing my eternity, losing forever with my family, losing this eternal marriage that for us is only possible if you're completing these steps, right? Like the second you drink a coffee or you stop wearing certain clothing, or you sort of break your vows, you're risking everything.
Wow.
So it was really, really frightening, and I really had to take a huge leap of faith, so to speak, faith, I guess, to just trust myself and know that as long as I was doing what I felt was right, I couldn't go wrong. And I had to really just get past that wall. And then it was really freeing after that. Still sad and scary at points, but there was a point that I had to reach where it was just sort of like, okay, I'm there, you know, I'm past it. I can't believe it anymore. It's sort of like when you find out Santa Claus isn't real, it's like trying to put that back in the bottle. So yeah, it's a whole process. And so trying to portray that through photography was really challenging. And I had a whole lot of ideas about how I wanted to do that, and none of them came to fruition.
Initially you were trying to do stuff that was more sort of pictorially literal, weren't you?
Yeah, I should have sent that to give you started.
You can share that later if you want, but that was like not, you know how you were saying at the beginning where you were trying to do portrait sessions and it just felt wrong, it didn't feel natural to you. It's almost like you were trying to portray your journey in that style and it just wasn't working for you, whereas now you kind of freed up the way that you portray it, and it's just working really beautifully to show the emotions that you've gone through.
For sure. When I thought about conceptual photography, because Kirsten had first suggested, you know, maybe a conceptual photography project would help you work through this and sort of unlock some things. And when I thought about conceptual photography, I thought about metaphors portrayed pretty literally in a photo. And so the first thing I did was take a picture of my daughter with tape across her mouth. And that was to represent the way I sort of felt silenced, or just didn't feel like I had a voice as a kid, and my job was to listen and not really to speak up. And I took that picture, and that one made me feel something, but I wasn't ready to share it. It wasn't there yet. And then I made that picture that you've seen, Emma, of me eating an apple, and it's sort of just like a close-up of the side of my face, and I'm eating an apple, and it says, the little sticker says the gospel, and it's rotten on the other side, so I can't see it while I'm eating it, but it's like rotten over here. And to me, that was like a very literal portrayal of what it felt like to realize that that everything that I had been partaking in, that I thought was so perfect and beautiful and delicious, like nutritious, everything, that it was actually rotten. And once I saw that sort of rotten side, I couldn't keep eating the apple, like it was done. So that was how I was trying to portray it, but then I got torn apart in a critique for it, and it just ended there.
Have you got it on your computer there that you can share it, or?
I'm sure I do. I just have to plug in my external hard drive.
Yeah.
So the critiquer, so I did this, I submitted it for the March assignment, I think it was, and the critiquer said that it was a very divisive image. And I just thought, okay, well, I wasn't making this for anybody else. I was making it for me. I wasn't planning on showing it to my family or showing it to any Mormons. I just made it for me to show sort of the metaphor of what I went through. And he sort of said, well, you're not going to build any bridges with this? And I said, well, I don't care. I don't care. That's not what I'm trying to do. And then Kirsten said, I think you're going for the more literal interpretation of what it was like. What you need to do instead is think about how it felt instead. And so I was like, I have no idea. I don't know how to do that. So I don't know. You tell me, how am I going to do that? And I kind of had to step away from it for a minute, and then
you actually started, you did some painting then, didn't you?
Well, yeah, that's true. Right after this, I did.
I think you've got those pictures. Do you want to go back to sharing?
Yeah. I'll stop the share. So yeah, I thought, okay, how do I get in touch with what it felt like? So I thought, okay, so the one after this, I thought, well, what does it feel like to feel like my like I walked away from what my family wants for me, and my whole family feels like I am lost, or I'm a sinner, or I'm betrayed. I'm betraying, what I've always known. It feels lonely. It feels dark. It feels like there. So I sat and I meditated on this feeling, and this image came to me of sort of all of them as like dark figures sort of crowding around me. And so I saw that image in my mind, and I was actually, sitting there actually meditating. And so I think because I was meditating on it, I was able to realize that I was seeing it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we see those things and we see our feelings sometimes, but we don't maybe realize it. But because I was just clearing my mind, that picture just stuck there, and I thought, I've got to put this down or it's going to be gone. So I got out a pencil and I sketched it, and then I got my daughter's, like crummy watercolors and painted it, and this is what it is. So that was sort of the start of it, portraying how it feels.
And you've done a couple of other I love this one is beautiful.
So that was the next one I did, because it's sort of the opposite of how it, the other side of it. Like, I feel when I think about my family, when I think about the pain I go through regularly still with them, that was the previous picture of feeling so judged. And that's a downside. Like, I love my family, and we still, we're getting there. I think we're improving our relationships. I don't want to say they're all super judgy or anything. It's definitely getting better, but there are feelings.
It must be hard for them as well. I appreciate it. It must be really hard.
I'm sure. Yeah, I know it is. And that judgment comes out of their own fear and their own love for me. So I understand why they feel that way. I have felt that way myself for people when they left the church. Yeah. So I get it. And that's why it hurts so much, because I know exactly what they're thinking. And I can't do anything to change their minds. I can't make them realize that I'm okay and I'm happy and I'm free. So anyway, the next time I sat down and meditated, I thought about, well, what is it like to feel that freedom that came with leaving? And this is what came to my mind, so I painted that. So I just took crummy pictures of the watercolors, so they're all wrinkly and stuff, and I don't know how I'm going to capture them in a better way, but
I think it's quite like that. It's
section of it, yeah.
It's lovely, yeah. And I think it's like you can feel that it's a therapeutic process, rather than some artist who's gone out to create a work.
Okay. Yeah.
You can feel that it's that you're working through something, and it's like an outpouring of what you're thinking. Relatively quick. Like you said, you wanted to capture the feeling as you're meditating quickly, so that it's not gone, and it comes across like that, which I like that.
Good.
That aspect of it.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah.
Shall we look at some photos that you created, maybe? Or this painting? I don't know.
Well, that painting was, as I meditated on the feeling of what it felt like to have sort of that first peak of something on the outside of what I believed.
Yeah.
Sort of the beginning of it, what preceded my world kind of falling apart.
Right.
And there was another painting, but I'm not sure if it's in here or not.
Yeah.
If not, it's okay. It's not a big deal.
So then you've got like a series of.
So then hey babe, what's up?
Hold. We're back.
Right, I'll share the screen again. Okay. So you were talking about the next stage, I think, Elise. Like, where'd you go next with?
Yeah.
So
this was also, I must say, this was all during like really majorly strict Italian lockdown.
Yeah.
The painting and the start of this.
Yes. So I just started taking self-portraits whenever I felt in the mood to do it. There were a lot of tough moments, just related to quarantine, but then also my grandmother passed away in February, so right before the lockdown, and had a rough conversation with her, where it was my last conversation with her, and I knew it would be, and she told me that she was so disappointed in me, and it was a brutal conversation, and I felt so alone, and obviously this was about me leaving the church, and it just, I was talking to another photographer about my feelings about it, and she said, why don't you try to make a picture about it while you're feeling it? So that second picture, number 2, is what I took that night after I got off the phone with her.
Yeah, I can feel that. Because you're so small.
Yeah.
And just lit. It really looks alone.
Yeah, and taking that picture, that grandmother is my mother's mother, and my grandma's motto in life was no tears unless you're bleeding. And she very much, like, she had a hard life, and so she had to suppress sad feelings a lot to survive. And so she was not interested in hearing your whining or your crying or anything like that. And I wanted to sort of show her, not show her, but show myself that I can express my feelings, and I can show it, even though I didn't feel like I could cry in this moment taking the picture. I wanted to express that emotion and have it seen, because that was how I felt, was that I wasn't seen. I was still being silenced. I was still being quieted and told to put away my feelings and do what I'm told, right? My grandmother is a wonderful person in so many ways, but this was just a hard thing between us. So yeah, this was my way of portraying it. And it felt, I guess what I'm trying to say is, it felt good. It felt really good to get that out there.
Mm-hmm. And it was your genuine experience of your feelings in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, really comes across.
And then there was a couple of others where, in the next couple of weeks after she passed, that I took. That one, number 4, was also me sort of feeling those. So there's a couple other of those in here that were related to that, of me just feeling those feelings. And because it's all wrapped up with this faith journey, I am sort of bringing them together in this project.
Yeah. Yes. Like, yeah. And you were doing some abstract work as well, just because of lockdown, which made in.
Yeah, I couldn't continue really any of my personal projects the way I wanted to, of course, because of the lockdown. So I would just have to go into my garden and take pictures of whatever jumped out to me. I don't think that I guess that light bulb one is there. I can't really see because of that. Oh yeah, that last one, on the one with the steeple and the light bulb one, are both from my courtyard.
Yeah.
Because there's a monastery that shares a wall with our building.
Yeah.
And then and the light bulb one were both images from the garden. And I took there were a bunch of other ones I haven't included in here that will go into the faith project, not a bunch, but that were sort of, this was just me exploring with light and trying to take pictures of something for fun again, because there was so much me trying to take a certain kind of picture was not working. And so what I was trying to do was kind of free up my mind again to just play with my camera. And that was, I think it's just caught. That was really, really helpful to just play with it, because it had been so long since I had just made pictures just for fun. You know, I think after a while, I'm sure you guys will be able to relate to this. I think after several years of trying to make a certain kind of picture, or trying to do it in a certain kind of way and to have a certain result, you sort of forget to just have fun.
Yeah.
And
something like unexpected or something abstract.
You put pressure on yourself to try and do a certain thing as well sometimes. So to give yourself the freedom to forget all that.
Yeah, and so I just gave myself permission, or rather Kirsten gave me permission to just take pictures whenever I felt something, whenever I saw something interesting. This was on the train on the way into an eye appointment in Milan, and so I think it was right before the lockdown. But yeah, I didn't normally play with motion or play with. And so then after I would make these pictures, I sort of brought them together and thought about what makes me feel something when I'm looking at it, culling through it, editing it. And in that process, I found a way to sort of bring it together.
I find it actually interesting that you kind of, maybe certain pictures you take, not necessarily for your project, but because it's you taking them, it's because you felt attracted to that something in that moment.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be, okay, I'm making pictures for my faith project now.
Right, exactly.
But because you're being attracted to something, especially in, like, if it's an abstract form, like you said, because you're feeling something in that moment that's motivating you to take that picture, and when you look back, you can work through that. And
you might not realize what it was. That's actually really interesting and helpful, I think, for people who are trying to, because I certainly struggle with sort of taking self-portraits in the moment when I'm feeling things, because it's like the whole act of setting up the camera to take a picture takes me out of the moment.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you know, one thing I've found that helps with that is to put on a song that you know makes you feel a certain way.
Okay.
There's a lovely picture of you where you've done that. Then I think it's the next one, isn't?
Black and white.
Yeah, back that one.
Yeah, that one I had turned on some of my favorite music from Hozier, and sort of I just played for a long time with dancing in front of the camera, which is something I had never done before, and it was like kind of weird at first, but then I just like lost myself in it, and then going through them later, it was like, okay, what makes me feel something? Which one of these photos really like moves me?
Yeah.
But yeah, the music helps a lot with that.
And then like it's really interesting, they said, like, particularly like this picture makes me feel the same way the white painting, the painting at the very end. It gives me the same sense of freedom and feel as that one does. That it's like a flight, like a bird in flight.
Yeah.
You just want to go through them to show them a bit bigger for people.
So I'm bringing together the black and whites with my watercolors to make a sort of mostly abstract with some self-portraits, images that feel like what I went through from the moment that I experienced that first doubt, basically until when I left, and the turmoil of that, and the range of emotions. So that will be probably the black and white project, and then the color project will likely represent
after
what's happened since then. Yeah, the emotions and yeah. What
Do
at
you
least
have any writing that you've done that you've used to work through it at all, or?
I wrote in my journal constantly throughout that process when I was leaving the church. And so I should go back and pull some of that up. I never wrote any poems or anything like that, or anything that sounded poetic. Probably it was just a lot of swearing, a lot of like just ranting, like stream of consciousness, angry or sad or excited about feeling like my idea of God was expanding and expanding, and just feeling like inspired and excited about this. Just lots of feelings in like a rant form.
That must be really interesting to look back through.
Yeah, I'm kind of scared too, so I haven't opened it up.
But you know what I'm thinking is like, obviously this is experience that's very unique. It's not that's so unique, but it's like a specific experience. But a lot of people who maybe not necessarily transitioning from their faith, but maybe they're having like a massive change in their circumstances, they can totally relate to that.
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Go through.
Yeah.
Like it's, you know, a change in relationships, or you know, some tragedy in their life or whatever. They can all, I think it's similar range of feelings where you kind of feel rage and you're lost and you don't know what to do, and that's like the whole other world that you didn't know existed. So I think a lot of people can relate to that. So it's just really interesting to see, and I'm really looking forward to the finished collection of, like, I'd love to see the finished collection.
I love the development you've gone through personally, though, in how you express through your images from that apple. I mean, the change is amazing.
Yeah, it was really frustrating. You saw, I mean, you probably saw on my face how just frustrated I was in that moment of realizing I'm not doing it. You know, I'm not doing it. This is not going to cut it.
It was really interesting because that apple picture kept coming up like over several weeks, wasn't it? Where you were like, you're obviously like, you knew you wanted to do something, but you just weren't quite sure how to work through it, and it was like a blockage.
Yeah, and what freed me up was not thinking about it and just doing the abstract photos, and just playing, shooting what I felt, and just letting there not being the pressure of what will the result be, or what is the point. I kept telling Kirsten that, like, I have, like, every time I go out with my camera, I'm like, what is the point of this? I'm just taking pictures of leaves, you know, and I'd get frustrated, but then I just have to be like, I'm just making pictures. Like, this has no end goal except to feel good in the moment, you know, to release something inside of me, to change the way I'm thinking. Like, it's really just, that was how I had to get there. And then
that's a good point. It's actually just not thinking about the end result, not thinking like, what's the point, not having a purpose, and just creating for just the sake of creating it.
Exactly.
It's interesting as well, because I think, you know, you were like completely disparately meditating and creating your watercolors and taking photos in your courtyard just of what felt right because of the lockdown and the limitations you had, and then it was like bringing it together was an accident. Yeah,
for sure, because I was kind of playing with them and I don't know what to do, and then I think Kirsten was like, well, what if we just put these together?
Because the shapes are replicated. It's a shame we haven't got any of the pictures of your leaves.
Sort of abstract.
Having that external.
Yeah, the shapes.
That, like, oh, you know, you should.
Yeah.
But I have a question. Can I ask a question? That's the whole point of this. So you have 3 kids, right?
Yes.
How do you find that balance of having to create something for yourself and being a mother, and like, how do you work around that? Because I'm sure many people.
That is the big life question for all of us mothers, isn't it? Like time and energy, and
wise.
Yeah. So, I mean, it used to be that my pictures, I was taking pictures always just of my kids, right? So it was like combining my motherhood with and so it did give something to me, in, you know, in that it was an artistic outlet and also time spent with my kids. I still do that where, you know, when we're traveling together, I'll take pictures of them while I'm playing with them and while we're, you know, experiencing something together. But this is like something else. Like, this really has to be fully time with myself and getting in tune with myself. And it's especially being raised in a culture where I felt like my one role in life and like the only basically important role I had in life was to be a mother. I've had to really let go of that pressure, that stress of I never spent time by myself. And that's really important for me. I've learned in the years since, like, that time alone with myself makes a huge difference. And I just can't breathe without having some alone moments to process things and to not have to answer nonstop questions or do something for somebody else. So for me, like, over the past couple of years, I've really learned that that's incredibly important. And and my husband knows, you know, he's always been great about that. But like, I now no longer have the guilt that I had before of like, Brad, I need to go outside. Like, I know you're working from home and this sucks, but I'm going to walk outside right now and let the kids play in their room or whatever they're doing. And I'm going to just go take pictures out in the garden. You know, like, I just have to do it. And I've had to let go of the guilt. And that takes time, I think, for a lot of people. Is that what you mean?
I think so. I think so.
Allows you to then reset and recharge and reset where you're thinking and actually be a better mother.
Yeah.
Like, give yourself that slight breathing space, just moments out, allow you then to immerse yourself fully again and be better, rather than I mean, the number of times where if you haven't, talking about me, if I haven't done that and then I reach boiling point,
yeah, sure,
should leave. And recognizing that moment in yourself to be able to go and do something for yourself.
And it comes down to self-care, and we're always told like you need to, you know, prioritize yourself sometimes, and that's just a really good lesson too, as creatives and even just as mothers.
Yeah,
right.
Everyone has a thing, but as creatives, or it's a really good way of releasing, isn't it, to go and explore something. But yeah, and
I've had to sort of like remember this year that, like, even if it's just that and it leaves me no time for working, for now, that's okay. I mean, we can survive without an income for me, so I have that option. But like, I was for a while so focused on it. I've got to build up a career. You know, the goal is always the career, but like this past year or two, I've had to let that go and let myself just focus on making art for art's sake, and, you know, art for me, and let go. Yeah. I know a lot of people don't have that option, but if you do, like, it's important, I think.
Yeah.
You're in a situation because of the fact that you've had to move and you're moving a business and you're in a different country and things. There's not, like, you know, it's not like, I mean, you've been there for 2 years. It's not like you've had a business for 10 years that you're having to let go of. It's a slightly different situation where you've had to let go of what you had in Japan anyway and start to build something in Italy, and it's not the same environment. And so it pairs quite nicely with this, and the lockdown and everything. It actually pairs quite nicely with being able to give yourself a bit of time and breathing space at the moment.
Sure. And I also find, and I think, I'm sure you guys would agree, that pricing your sessions higher gives you the space in between. Like, you're not going to have as many sessions.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
But you're going to have, you know, it's going to be worth it when you do, and then you have more time in between that you need.
Yeah. So you do one session instead of 4 sessions, and in that space you can do personal work and self-development. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. It's I think if you carry on trying to valuing yourself on how busy you are isn't always the right thing to do, because you'll end up burning yourself out.
Yeah, I'm really, really bad about that.
Yeah, and it's not for your clients. If you're not feeling motivated to do it because you're fed up of doing it, or you're doing too many, or you're tired, it's not good for them.
I completely lost my desire to take any pictures. Right about like leaving Japan, I had just burned myself out so bad trying to balance motherhood and working all the time.
You still have 3 quite big kids.
I didn't want to take any pictures. I just stopped for like 6 months or something because it just lost all its joy. And so that I've had to totally change perspective on. And I'm sure if you have to be making money on it, if it's your job, like I'm sure that's incredibly difficult to balance, which all the more reason to raise your prices.
Yeah.
Preach.
Saying it, we all need to keep saying it.
Yeah, that's what I always say.
Yeah.
I think we've covered pretty much everything, haven't we? So we can finish this one now. Don't go anywhere. I'm just gonna stop the recording. Just say bye to everyone.
Thank you, Elisse. It's been amazing.